postseason. The 2019 MLS schedule will be released today at 4 p.m. Eastern on MLSsoccer.com and on the MLS app. And we are here to give you guys a sneak peek, starting with the first game of the season. Philly hosting Toronto at 1 p.m. on March 2nd. Wiebe, it all starts here.
Oh, yeah. Soccer by the banks of the Delaware. The Union have a new style. How will it work out, Toronto FC, in the midst of CCL?
That's right, and later that night, FC Cincinnati making their MLS debut against Seattle at CenturyLink Field. Calen, not an easy task for the new guys.
No, not an easy task going to Seattle, but LAFC did it last year, got the upset in their opener, and Cincinnati, they've been known to upset some of the bigger teams. That's in their history.
Absolutely, and look, your 2018 MLS Cup champions, Atlanta United, they look to continue the magic on March 10th against, well, Cincinnati. Can we throw them a bone, Andrew?
Yeah, speaking of big teams, maybe even bigger teams, Sounders fans, don't come at me over that one. Cincinnati going into the ATL, you know what's going down? They're getting the rings. MLS Cup champions pass out the hardware. Greg Garza in town to get his with Cincinnati as well.
And let's talk about Minnesota, who will play in their brand new digs on April 13th as they host NYCFC in the newly minted Allianz Arena. Calen, we love a good stadium.
We do, Susannah. Maybe we'll get the call up to go out to this one. I mean, look at this stadium. It is beautiful. I think it could probably rival any stadium in North America and MLS for just the aesthetics of it and the experience inside. I know Minnesota fans are ready for this one.
Cannot wait to take a look at that place. All right, here's some looks at the highlights of the 2019 MLS schedule. We got opening weekend, March 2nd and 3rd, All-Star Game, you guys, in Orlando, July 31st. That's going to be great. Heineken Rivalry Week, always so much fun. And look at this, guys, Decision Day, October 6th. We're starting things off early.
Yeah, figure it out. Get your schedule in order because what you're used to is no longer going to be the case. I personally like it. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Happy New Year and welcome to the 2019 MLS Schedule Release Show. I'm Susannah Collins, joined by Andrew Wiebe and Calen Carr. Hard to believe, but the MLS season is almost 2 months away. Crazy. 2018 just ended, and it's going to be hard to top because it was sensational. But time to look ahead, fellas. What are we looking forward to in 2019?
Well, we alluded to it earlier, Susannah, but I'm really looking to Minnesota United. I think Cincinnati will garner a lot of the attention this year as the expansion team, but in some ways, Minnesota United is going to feel like a new club because of this beautiful new stadium, Allianz Field. It's going to be against NYCFC, April 13th. You got it marked on the calendar. And with a full year of Darwin Quintero, you see sometimes players come into MLS and take a little while to adjust. It took him no time. A full year with him, a new energy around this team, and a new home field advantage. I'm looking to Minnesota to see what happens.
Yeah, me too. Andrew, what about you?
Look, I'm big on second chances, so I'm with you, Calen. I think there's all these teams that didn't make the playoffs that now believe they can because of the quality of their signings, coaches, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But perhaps no two teams have a bigger season than the ones in Ohio. Columbus Crew, we know what's been going on with them. The trauma, the chaos, everything else. It's gone. It's done and dusted. They got their ownership. They're going to get the stadium. They're going to get the training facility. They got a coach. They got a president. They are moving on, and they are ambitious. And just down the road in Cincinnati, the new boys got to figure it out, and they got to figure out quick. And this is going to be a great derby. 3 words. Hell is real. Hell is real. That's what they're calling it in Cincinnati. We'll see if Columbus pick up on that as well. The story is great. Go look that one up. But this is going to be so fun.
They have
2
embraced
teams
it.
in Ohio.
Hell is real. I'm looking forward to Decision Day. Decision Day always so exciting. Last year, of course, some incredible matches, so much on the line. And this year, every single team going to be able to play because there's now an even amount of teams with FC Cincinnati entering the league. So I just expect even more drama. It's happening earlier this season.
Nothing to complain about, RSL fans. Mike Pecky, you're good. You're playing on the final day of the regular season. You'll have your fate in your hands.
Absolutely.
It worked out for them.
It does. It does.
That's a good point.
Well, on that note, let's talk about the postseason, shall we? Because there's been some big changes in 2019. Check this out, guys. 7 teams in from each conference. Top seeds get a bye. Single elimination. MLS Cup happening November 10th. This is new and exciting. And Calen, I know that you're really looking forward to this. You think this is going to really up the competition.
I love it. It's just simplified. Look, if you win the Supporter Shield, you play every game at home. Someone's got to come to your house, knock you off all the way through MLS Cup. Simple. Fans can understand it. Players understand it. It values the regular season. It prioritizes the results in the regular season. And the playoffs come quick, fast, and furious.
And there's no breaks. There was dead time with those international breaks. We all knew it. We all felt it. We all felt the momentum just kind of get sucked out, and you had to get back up to it. Even for those of us that live this stuff, it felt that way. No longer. No dour second legs, no chance to relax, max intensity, max importance, every minute, every second, every play, every decision by a coach It all matters, and that is what we want from the postseason.
Definitely. All right, but in order to get to the postseason, you got to get it done in the regular season. So here's some notables from that. As we mentioned before, 24 teams now, so it's an even schedule, 34 games over 32 weeks. Each team will play their conference opponents twice, non-conference opponents once. Who does this benefit, guys?
Everybody, all of us, all the teams, all the players, it's a competition, it's balance. It gives us an opportunity to look back and say, despite the fact that it isn't, as some people might want home and home for the whole thing, that just doesn't work. It gives every team an opportunity to look at their schedule and say, we played basically the same. Maybe there's some home, maybe there's some away that are shifted, but 2 teams in our conference, home and away, team in the other conference, it's fair. Finish where you want, and if you don't make the playoffs, you have yourself.
And we talk about rivalries and Heineken Rivalry Week. That's big moments on the schedule, but there are rivalries that are fluid in MLS. So if you're playing if you play for the Red Bulls, you've got NYCFC, but then you've also got the Atlantic Cup with DC, and on the West Coast, you got LAFC. They have all of these rivalries, so getting 2 matches against your conference opponents, and then 1 treat where you travel out to the East Coast or the West Coast to play a team. Fans can maybe plan around that trip and go out to Portland for that 1 special match.
It makes those rivalry games even more important. There won't be 3, it's just 2. You just have 1 opportunity to welcome those fans and that team into your home stadium. You got to make it count.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's take a look at some more notable nuggets for the 2019 MLS season. Let's start with Portland, you guys. Much like DC United last year as they awaited completion of Audi Field, Portland played 12 games on the road to start the season while they wait for the renovations at Providence Park to be completed. Their first game not until June 1st against LAFC. What does this mean for them?
Susannah, I actually think this will not only not be a problem for Portland, who did this, by the way, 5 matches on the road to start the season last year. I think it could be an advantage because you've seen the teams in the past that have gotten on the road in the first half. You survive. Portland's a team that's really good on the road, have an identity, get behind the ball, and then you see these other ones go through. So I think they're going to be fine.
I agree. They got the style to do it.
Yep.
They know it from last year. Everybody's going to be seeing Atlanta all the time.
You guys,
17 national TV
17
games.
nationally televised games.
That's what happens when you have the best goal scorer in MLS history in a single season. You win MLS Cup. You go ahead and almost set a points record. Yeah, look, you're going to see him a lot.
You're going to be seeing him a lot, too.
One Zlatan Ibrahimovic. The Galaxy also getting a lot of love. 15 nationally televised games for them.
Well, this is appointment viewing because this is the guy that I tune in to watch every week because you might see something like this. And where else are you going to see it? 22 goals last year, 6 assists, backed it up. The pregame interviews, the social media, everything. So, yeah, look, you can complain, but these are the teams you want to watch playing on.
These are the teams. And look at DC United there.
Wayne Rooney effect.
The Wayne Rooney effect is real
right
and present. No, there's some really, really exciting matchups to be had. Looking forward to all these games on Fox, ESPN, Unimas, Univision, all of our national TV partners. Is going to be great. All right, you guys. It's not all about the schedule release today. The Combine is also going on, and our very own Bobby Warshaw and David Goss are on location in sunny Orlando. Let's hear from them.
Thanks so much, Susannah. It says it's 31 degrees in New York City. We are loving Florida right now. This is an exciting day. Fans learning where their team's going to be, what the schedule looks like, where they're going to be traveling for games. Bobby, what are you looking forward to?
I'm a sucker for a revenge story. I like seeing players go to an old club when they feel like they got slighted and trying to prove a point. For me this year, that's Kellen Rowe. April 27th, the New England Revolution are going to visit Sporting Kansas City at Children's Mercy Park, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Kellen Rowe tries to prove a point.
I'm looking at the flip side for the fans to prove to Lawrence Simon that he's in the wrong place and made the wrong decision. Former captain of Montreal, now he's going to come back on July 13th with Toronto FC, their rival, their biggest rival. That's going to be a special one for sure. The other big part of this new schedule is going to be flex scheduling. September 15th and 22nd, the 4th and 3rd to last weekends of the year. Now you're going to get the best games available on national TV.
Yeah, one of the things about professional sports is that you have duds at the end of the year sometimes. You don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch it. The TV stations don't want it on their air, but now they're going to make sure that MLS has the most vital games on in primetime.
Yeah, maybe no league needs it as much as Major League Soccer, The other thing we're looking forward to, the Super Draft. We're down in Orlando for the Combine. Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time starts the second set of games on MLSsoccer.com. The Super Draft coming up on Friday. Bobby, who should people be looking at?
So from our scouting and from talking to the executives and the coaches around the league, it feels like there's 3 names at the top of the board. The first is Tajon Buchanan out of Syracuse. The second, Frankie Amaya out of UCLA. And the third, Syed Haji out of VCU. If I were to pick one, thinking about whether this player is going to influence me in 2019 and down the road, I would take Tajon Buchanan. He has the pace to stretch teams, the 1v1 ability to make a difference off the bench, and also possibly the highest upside. I would take Tajon Buchanan number 1.
For me, Frankie Amaya, he's a connector in midfield, just 19 years old. He already started a US U20 World Cup qualifier win over Mexico. He's an exciting player. Any other names out there that have surprised you?
So there's a consensus top performer from day one at the Combine, and that was Anderson Asaedu out of UCLA. He's a bulldog defensive midfielder, which we just don't see very often. If I'm a coach, I'm thinking maybe I can make him into something like Russell Canals.
For you, your nerd place is defensive midfield and fullback. This is the year of the fullback. We'll find out how it goes. 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, January 11th on MLSsoccer.com, streaming rounds 1 and 2 of the 2019 MLS Super Draft.
Well, David Goss just said it. A reminder, the 2019 MLS Super Draft coming up on Friday. We have got you covered. Join us all on all our channels at 1 p.m. Eastern for the first 2 rounds. Wiebe will be manning the desk right here in the studio. Calen and I going to be on site in Chicago. We'll be bringing you interviews with players, coaches. It's going to be great. 1 p.m. Eastern on all of our channels. But right now, let's take a look at some new faces in old places, starting with Greg Garza. No longer a stalwart in Atlanta, he's with the newly minted FC Cincinnati.
Yeah, Susannah, he got his reward here. I don't think that he necessarily felt great about leaving Atlanta, where he had so much success, won MLS Cup, but he will be there on March 10th to get his ring, to get what he deserves from those fans. Greg Garza did a great job first 2 years for Atlanta United. Then you got the Portland Timbers and Cincinnati. Bunch of these guys switching sides, going to the new boys. I'm very interested to see how that works out. Cincinnati's got their hands full to start this thing.
Absolutely. Diego Rubio, too, man.
I like Colorado. I'm going with some MLS experience with 2 strikers that know how to put the ball in the back of the net. A problem they've had in the last couple years. Kai Kamara has scored goals everywhere. Had a fantastic season last year for Vancouver. I was surprised to see him move on, but changing faces, new places. I think Kai and Diego Rubio might actually be able to form a dangerous partnership up top.
And look, that Kai Kamara one, you might as well just put that on SKC as well, because he is a former SKC player. They love him there.
Good point.
All right, well, it was only about a month ago we were all down in Atlanta for MLS Cup, and Atlanta United defeated the Portland Timbers to take home the hardware. These 2 teams are going to meet up again August 18th at Providence Park. Calen, do you think Portland's going to have a little revenge on their mind?
I don't think so, actually. I just think they're going to be happy to be home because, look, there's nothing that's going to be able to atone for what happened in Atlanta. They got the trophy. I've lost these games. You get a rematch the second season, regular season, not quite the same. They'll have their eye on them come the playoffs potentially, and hope maybe an MLS Cup and maybe at the Timbers' new stadium because Portland, they could be one of the favorites for me going into next season.
Could be. We also have some conference championship rematches that we're looking forward to, starting with Atlanta against the Red Bulls, August 18th. Red Bulls, I'm sorry.
July
Red Bulls,
7th.
Atlanta.
I got you, Susannah.
Thank
this
you.
is incredible.
A lot of
this
information
is tactical. This is, supporter shield. It's not just the playoffs. And on July 7th, this is the game after the Women's World Cup final. Chris Armas is going to be circling this because tactically he had some decisions to make. Didn't work out for him. Atlanta moves on.
And, of course, we have Portland versus Sporting Kansas City, September 7th at Providence Park. I was there for these 2 legs against these 2 teams, and they were fantastic.
So I don't want to say anything about double post, but I just had it on the edge of my tongue. I know you're a Chicago girl.
No, but as we talked about how rivalries are fluid in MLS, and not always geographic. This is one of them where these 2 teams really don't get along always. They have a history of playoff moments against each other. To see them square off is one you're going to circle.
It's exciting stuff.
It is.
We can't wait. And guys, if you're just joining us, this is the 2019 MLS Schedule release show. We are here giving you a sneak peek at the schedule that will be released at 4 p.m. on MLSsoccer.com and on the MLS app, so go and download it. Right now we're going to take a closer look at the first week of the season. Opening week, we've got Andrew Wiebe standing at the board to break it all down for us. What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to how these teams balance CONCACAF Champions League. First of all, I know that I now have 99 days this year that I'm going to be watching Major League Soccer, so put that on the board. But this is interesting because as you go through this schedule and you see the Toronto FCs, Red Bulls, Columbus Crew SC, these are teams that are going to be coming right off of midweek action, guys. All of them from Tuesday to Thursday, the week before, second leg of round of 16. And then they have quarterfinals if they move on, assuming they move on, coming on after that. I think the best matchup of this week outside the national TV matchups here at the bottom of DC, Atlanta, and LA Sporting Kansas City, you got to go Seattle Sounders, FC Cincinnati. We were thinking maybe that would be the Anzi Alonso return to Seattle. Maybe not. Minnesota United, according to Sam Stachel, are pushing in there. But then it's this match right here. Calen, I would love your thoughts on Caleb Porter against Chris Armas and the Red Bulls. He's back, and the Red Bulls are trying to do it again on the road.
Yeah, well, it'd be interesting to see how the team changes under Caleb Porter. Roots in the area, excited to be back, whole new direction in some ways. But I think the reason this matchup between these two teams has always been so compelling is in the contrasting styles. Porter likes to play a possession style as well. Armas is going to bring back that press. So there's a natural sort of combativeness between these two teams, and they've matched up well in the playoffs as well.
Teed me up well right there because both Caleb Porter and Tim Bezpachenko are on Extra Time Radio today. Go get that wherever you listen to podcasts. This is week 2, and again, because I am a CCL nerd and I have CCL fever, I've got to explain to you what is happening here. You have 2 buys, Toronto, New York Red Bulls. You won't see their names on this list. They're not playing in week 2 because they're in the middle of those quarterfinals. Meanwhile, Houston, Sporting Kansas City, and Atlanta are all at home. So Major League Soccer, the schedule makers, have looked at this and said, you know what? Here's how we can help our teams be successful in regional competition. This is a fun week, but it's one that I think will also be a little bit split as we look to CCL, guys. But look, LAFC, Portland Timbers, Atlanta, Cincinnati, rings coming out. It should be an awful lot of fun in week 2. And then you have more CCL, and then you're going into April, and now we're sitting on week 3 right here, and I got 2 games that I want to look at. First of all, New York City FC, LAFC, Bob Bradley against Dome Toronto. I think that's going to be a very, very interesting matchup. And then if I could get the board to scroll for me, you see down here at the bottom as it continues, Philly, Atlanta, 2 playoff teams, Cincinnati, Portland Timbers, Nippert Stadium. That's the opener. Calen, I have not been. I believe you have been. What should people expect from that game?
I went on a Wednesday in the rain, 25,000 people sitting there.
Wow.
So that should tell you the excitement that's built in this team. They're talking about it in the airport and the flight back. The other one that I really like on that board is Colorado Sporting Kansas City, partly for the reasons we already discussed as far as these former players that have roots to Sporting Kansas City now trying to make their own imprint at Colorado Rapids.
All right, well, the newest MLS franchise, FC Cincinnati, kick off their inaugural season on March 2nd against Seattle, and it does not get easier for them out of the gate. As we saw, 9 of their first 10 opponents are playoff teams from last year.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, if you're Cincinnati, you take the first 3 weeks of this season, what do you look to get out of it? What will you call a success?
A clean sheet. 2 clean sheets. A result. I mean, you're not going into this year and saying, look, we are the FC Cincinnati of USL. We're the FC Cincinnati that rolls through the regular season and believes we will win the championship at the end. They're going for the cup. That's what Alan Koch told us in Orlando the last couple of days. But they also acknowledge that they're going to have to find a way to deal with adversity because there's going to be a lot of it. Not only is it 9 of 10 against playoff teams from 2018, it's 6 of 10 on the road. And they go to Seattle, they go to Atlanta, they go to LAFC, they go to the New York Red Bulls. That is the who's who of the elite clubs in this league. Cincinnati are going to have to put it together quick.
I think you try and get 4 points out of those first 4 matches. I think it's tough to start with 3 on the road, but new team, they're going to believe in themselves. If they can nick one early, maybe in one of that first 2 matches, at least get a point on there, and then you want to win that home game. You circle that game against Portland. If they can come away with 4 points out of that first 4 matches, I think they're off to a good start.
Well, speaking of Portland, as we mentioned earlier, Portland on the road for the first 3 months of the season as the renovations to Providence Park are finishing up. They won't play at home until June 1st, but they have a 10-game homestand from August 10th through September 25th. My question is, will this work out for them the same way it sort of did for DC United last year? Because we all saw what happened there, made the playoffs, went on an incredible run. Can Portland do it?
I don't think you want to sink that far down to begin with.
Yeah.
And I think they have the roster to not have to worry about it to that degree. But the bonus is that you get 15 of the last 19 at home. And that's where Portland, I think, can really build some momentum that stadium is such a tough place to go in and play. And look, this is one of the more experienced sides, one of the most talented teams in MLS. They have the experience of getting all the way to the final. Now with the way the playoff structure is formatted, now maybe if they get higher up in the table, they get home games at Providence Park throughout the playoffs.
The thing I like is that Giovanni Savarese proved last year that he's not afraid to be pragmatic. He's not afraid to go back to what works if he's trying to be a little bit more ambitious as he was in the middle of the season and say, you know what, actually with our personnel, we're a little bit better if we just sit back, have a good block, and counter with two of the best attacking players in the league. The other thing to think about with this Portland Timbers team, they will make some moves. Gavin Wilkinson said a couple of weeks ago to me that they're looking at that number 9 position. They want to upgrade. They want to make this roster better. So get another center back, get back there, like Cincinnati, get some clean sheets, get some results. Don't be at the bottom of the table on June 1st, and you're going to be just fine.
It's all about positioning. Put yourself in a good position. All right, well, one of the biggest weeks of this season, Heineken Rivalry Week, August 21st through 25th of this year. Always so much fun. Here's a look at some of the matchups we have. I mean, look, LAFC San Jose, though. How do we feel
I think,
about this?
Trying to seed this one a little bit. We'll see. It doesn't have the historical sort of significance, obviously, the Cali Classico does. I'm looking at Orlando, Atlanta, because I think that one's super young. And Orlando, I hate to tell you, you've never won it. So it's maybe not a rivalry yet, given the fact that you don't have a dub. You need to get that.
You are just really ingratiating yourself with those Orlando fans.
I love Orlando. I had a great time with Don Dwyer. He's going to be hungry for this. I'm just saying. Portland, win.
Portland, Seattle. That's the one for me, especially after the way that legendary playoff two-legged series went between those two last year. I'm ready for that.
I mean, I'm sorry, but for me, it's all about El Trafico. Calen and I were lucky enough to be at the first one, and the Zlatan goal, we all know how that went down, and I'm already loving that rivalry. It's new, but I love it.
Look, hell is real. I told you. That's the new one. That's the one we haven't seen so far. And that's one I think that Crew SC fans and both Cincinnati fans are going to sink their teeth into. But I'd love to see the Atlantic Cup continue to be super high profile. Wayne Rooney, Lucho Acosta are going to ramp that one up a little bit. But all of these are good.
Yeah, no, Toronto against Montreal, that was one of the best series. Susannah, we were at that one too a couple years back.
I'm not letting you guys go to Minnesota. After all this talk, I want you to know that right now. I'm going to Minnesota.
We bring good luck. We show up, suddenly there's good games.
Stating the claims.
That's right.
I love it. Well, we've got some other good rivalry games coming up. I mean, is New York red? Is New York blue? How about that? We also have, as you mentioned, Andrew, one of the matchups you're looking forward to, Orlando, Atlanta.
Yeah, the South's about to explode. And it is
May
exploding
12th.
right now in this league. And so when you see Nashville coming in, Miami come in, this is going to be even better. And I still look back at this one, and you talk about playoff matchups, Calen. Toronto, Montreal, Canadian Classique. I know the Montreal fans don't like that 401 derby, so we won't call it that. Retire that one,
do
folks.
not call it that. They hate it. This is the one. This is the one for me, guys. I love what this has turned into, and I love that it's flip-flopped in years, and I think that establishes it as a legitimate rivalry, and I love it.
Get on the path, get on the subway, go north, go to Jersey, do whatever you got to do. Go watch that one, but of course watch Zlatan in this game. I mean, El Trafico. This is the one that had you like jumping up and down, tearing your hair out, just looking at the sky. Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. And Cascadia Cup, here we go. I mean, these always live up to the hype.
Yeah, it's funny because we were actually saying in the playoffs last year that this one wasn't living up to it, and then boy, did it really shift on a dime and turn into one of the best playoff series we've seen.
I was lucky enough to be at that match too, and that place was shaking. I know, I'm really
just gonna throw it out there. DC and LAFC won when I was at their home opener last year. But anyway, hell is real. I'm gonna say that over and over again. Go look at the origins of this rivalry. It was 2017 U.S. Open Cup. 1-0 win for Cincinnati at Nippert. Now you have minimum 2 games per year between these two teams, maybe Open Cup as well. Hell is real. Thank you to everyone who saved the Crew. I'm so glad we get to witness this for years to come.
And sometimes they say, it's hard to have these rivalries in the heartland of the country because of the spatial geographic restrictions, but these two teams are so close that it just seems natural that they're going to be able to build something on the field as well.
Yep.
Midwest is best,
Midwest
y'all.
represent.
Oh, you guys, a reminder, the 2019 MLS schedule out at 4 p.m. on MLSsoccer.com and on the MLS app, which you can download in the App Store and on Google Play. Thank you so much for tuning in. 2019 is going to be all kinds of fun. We will see you all season long. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.